Welcome to the afternoon entertainment hour at OJ's Juice Bar, and here's today's juice.
Listen to OJ's Juice Bar, Sundays at 4 p.m. on KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
The Third City Podcast is a production of Third City Coalition. In our show, we examine case studies in urban development in Stockton and other cities like Stockton across the country, exploring their local and regional impacts. Individual efforts play a role in Third City development, and it starts with you.
Want to talk politics? Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. as Don Mazewski and Dustin Breakville give you the latest news.
Alongside our political analyst, Professor Sirian Villavicencion and Tamer Sakari.
I can hear you loud and clear, Governor.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
On Politics Panoramic.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy Marcellus.
This your girl Ronnie.
It's Tim Hawley.
And Al X.
And we're coming at you with the KXVS
Morning Show.
Do you want to relive the golden days of Stockton? Join Nate Knott on Stockton Alive every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. Tune into thevoiceofstockton.org.
KXVS, the voice of Stockton live. The voice of Stockton at Stone Soup Studio. KXVS.org.
Welcome to the Monday afternoon, the special edition of Doug Vigil's show. I would like to thank our former mayor, Anthony Silva, here. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I had the honor to get that chance to interview you. What's been happening lately, so please, go ahead.
Well, Doug, it's good to see you again. I think we had a good run together for the past 4 years, and so I miss you already, so thank you for having me on your show. Hello to all the Stockton folks out there tuning in and listening to the show, or maybe you're going to listen to it later when you get home. It's always a pleasure to come on to KXVS, the voice of Stockton. So first off, I want to get started and just say that prayers, personal prayers from my family and friends and supporters to the family of Lincoln High School student Cameron Allison Jr. And as we know, he lost his life last week in a tragic car accident. So my family is praying for his family. As well as Stockton residents should all be continuing to pray and possibly send donations or resources to all the victims of Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Harvey that hit Texas and Louisiana and Florida last week. So we have a lot of things going on in the world.
Yes, it is.
And so it's important for Stockton residents to realize, I know everyone gets super busy with, taking kids to school and feeding them and trying to put food on their family's table and going to work every day and paying bills. But sometimes it's important for us to sit back and reflect on other people's lives outside of our sphere of influence and realize that there's a lot of people out there still suffering.
Yes, I see that perspective, that what's happening in the community, and there's a lot of things happening through our national weather, and I think that can never happen to you until it happens.
Yeah. I think how it is everybody in the East Coast always thinks, why do people want to live in California? They have crazy earthquakes that could knock down buildings and ruin lives out there. And we sit here in the West Coast and we're like, who wants to live in paths of hurricanes and tornadoes? So it doesn't matter where you live. There's a chance that disasters can strike. And I think really it's about how communities and people come together to help the less fortunate.
So have you got any, what's been happening after your release? Have you been involved in the community? Have you just let people know?
Yeah, obviously not as much as that I was doing when I was mayor and before I was mayor. I've been volunteering really all my life, especially here in Stockton. But I had the opportunity to help out the pallet fire victims in Stockton. I actually hosted because I don't have much right now, but I hosted a small little swimming pool party for their families, and they came over and we just barbecued some hamburgers and hot dogs, and the kids went swimming. Of course, I've continued to do my homeless awareness a couple times for community cleanups. I've actually gone out there and just basically hired the homeless to go to other areas of Stockton and pick up trash and to go and dump that trash. And they're always receptive. People always will say, well, aren't those folks kind of lazy? They have 2 arms and 2 legs. And, if I was in their situation, I would find a way to work. Well, it's different when you're actually in that situation. You're not able to take a shower and you stink and you can't get cleaned up for work. It's hard for those folks to find work. So the couple opportunities that I've had where people have said, hey, do you want to help clean this area up? I've actually gone and hired the homeless folks, and they've cleaned them up some of those neighborhoods. And of course, I continue to help the Asparagus Festival. I love the Nassetti group. Tony Nassetti and his family has been great, and Amber and Danica Nassetti, all of them have just been wonderful in helping Stockton. So I continue to go out there every year and make sure it's a good event and it's more successful. Some people are tuning in saying that they can't hear for some reason. They're messaging so they can't hear anything. So anyways, so it hasn't been the Cinderella story really about me leaving office and basically doing something wonderful. It's been extremely difficult because I've actually been dealing with now 2 legal court cases. They don't have anything directly to do with each other, although I believe the source came from the same place. But since I've left office, I've continued to do some consulting, some business management stuff, helping some companies out. And I continue to teach CPR, first aid, and I want to do lifeguard training, but I really can't get in the water right now. But since I was 19 years old, and that was, back in 1996, when I was 19, I was an American Red Cross instructor. And so I've always continued to have my certifications, and I really enjoy teaching people how to be great first responders in the event someone happens. I still recommend people, get first aid and they learn CPR. It changes from year to year, but it's a great skill to have in case somebody stops breathing or they go into cardiac arrest. So I recommend that.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think that take a lot of your time, because I know a lot of communities tend to be a lot greater people to teach and take a lot of your time. And I know you recently had your son's birthday came recently.
Yes.
He's 15 years old now, right?
Well, my son Caden, he just turned 13.
Oh, 13. Okay.
So, believe it or not, I have a teenager in the house. And of all the age groups of kids I've worked with for my entire life, I was always someone that believed I could get through to a teenager and I could relate to them. But it wasn't my favorite age group to work with because they're going through puberty, and it's not like you can just break out with a coloring book and crayons or a basketball and say, okay, let's start playing. It's not as easy with the teenager. They want to do things like they want to paintball and they want to drive go-karts and they want to drive a real car. So I think in a short amount of time, my son's going to be asking if he can borrow the car, and hey, that just means we're getting older, right? But he's in 8th grade and he's going to a great school. He's getting good grades. So I'm really proud of my son because although his dad has been through a lot, I know he's been through a lot too. And more exciting is Caden is about to have a younger brother. So in the next, I'd say probably in the next 25 days or so, I'm going to have a new baby boy.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And
you
so
already have a name already?
His name is Aurelius. His name is Aurelius.
Oh,
and
wow.
so
why you picked that name?
well, I'm a big history buff. I love Egyptian history. I love Roman history, and I love Greek mythology. I love all that kind of stuff. And Marcus Aurelius was one of my favorite folks from history, and he was a Roman emperor that he wrote books and poems and all kinds of stuff, and he was a scholar, and I just like him. I like the name. So I'm having a.
So you didn't have a good fight with the mother yet, or anything?
No, she liked it right away. She was like, you know what?
Okay.
Nobody has this name. It's a good name, and so, you know me, I could have went with a crazier name. So, anyways, I'm excited, and for the first time in a long time, and I think a lot of parents out there know what it's like when you're sitting there you're putting together baby swings and, you know, baby rockers and cribs, and you're like, man, why is there always pieces left over when I'm done? I always have screws left over. I'm like, man, I did something wrong. But you're sitting there putting the stuff together, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's been a long time since I did that. And so still, to me, the greatest, you know, accomplishment of humans, really, our ability is to reproduce and make other kids. So this will be my second kid, and still I'm amazed that, you know, we can create supercomputers and we can create all kinds of technology, but still it's just amazing that we can create life.
Yeah, that's really awesome, because sometimes I know having a baby is gonna take a lot of your time. Being a father, you're gonna have to change, going sleepless night, feeding them every 30 minutes
Yeah.
to eat and all that good stuff. So good job. So for the mother, we always, I always believe that humanity is going to come to this thinking. I need to be more positive, saying, okay, we need to take care of our environment. We need, when it comes to parent with having children, we need to think about our future kids also,
Yeah.
right? So okay.
You know, it's weird how it works in the world, and I know some of the listeners out there, they probably think about this too, but there's a lot of folks that want to have kids, they want to have babies, and they can't, and they're sad, and there's sort of this hole inside of them that they feel, and so, you know, they try to adopt kids, and they try to research other procedures for them to have kids. And then there's a lot of people out there in the world that have too many kids that they can't take care of, and the county and the state's always taking kids away from them, and they end up in foster homes, and, you know, the foster system's not the greatest, but there are some good foster parents out there. So it's strange how it works out, but you know, for me, when I had my son 13 years ago, my Caden, I was struggling and going through some hard times, and yet we survived together somehow. He has a good mom as well, and then now it's not picture perfect in my life right now. You know, I don't have this wonderful, great career in my life, the rest of my life all planned out for me. And once again, having a kid when you're not sure what's going to happen. But somehow I think that maybe God, you know, he sends us these gifts during these difficult times in our life to let us know, hey, life is not about you. Life is about, you know, you giving back to other people. Life is about, you know, your new baby. Yes. And so, you know, I hopefully my son will bring joy to a lot of people's lives. And so we're really excited about it. And we had a great baby shower, and I appreciate all the folks that came out and supported our baby shower. And so, yeah, I'm going to be just like a new dad all over again. So.
Oh, well, that second chance that we're going to help you more. So that's good. Plus, you're going to have a lady in your life that will help.
Yeah, I have a great, serious girlfriend, and you know, hopefully we'll be progressing that relationship in the near future. I did give her, you know, a promise ring, so she's happy about that. And she works with kids too. She works with autistic kids and special needs kids, and so you know, she's going to be a great mom.
Good. I sound like you, but what I'm hearing she's already great.
Yeah.
Already, that's good.
I miss us working together on the mayor's task force for people with disabilities. So how's that going?
Well, I personally, mayor task force have not been consistency. It's been canceled a few times, and I really don't know because it's been not my priority because I go when it's needed, but obviously it become a routine.
Yeah.
And when you go in, it's accountability now. So now, really, when you really have to tell, or they use it against you. Okay, if you're not serious, then they're gonna you need to remove yourself out the committee. So it become more stricter, but a lot of people it's like, wow, So we haven't not really got any problem. To me, it's like yesterday I had Mary Nicholson.
Yeah,
we're just talking
she's a
about,
wonderful woman.
Oh, wonderful woman. She's a blessing, and I know I'm just being the city. It's like trying to get things accomplished, and if the city do not on board, we're just like spinning wheel over and over again, and it's nothing accomplished. Now we have to kind of use other resource and other community avenue to get awareness.
Well, there's a lot of residents in Stockton that have a disability of some sort, and they're one of our greatest assets in this community. So I'm glad that we were able to get a lot of stuff done, and I hope this committee picks up, because we can only be a great city if we're doing all that we can to help all the residents in Stockton. So I was excited when you were teaching the sign language classes at the library, and we came a long way. So I hope it gets better.
Yeah, I think I just kind of give a positive. It's something that are meant to change for the better, and sometimes meant to hold off. And so it's I think like we're all go through a reset button. Everything change and reset the button, and we go back to the basic, and then we're gonna have to work back up again to where we should be.
Yeah.
Instead of going back, we went backward. Now we have to go forward again.
Yeah, I definitely hope it gets better. How's the sound doing, Chief? We're good.
All right.
All right. Well, we could talk about some city current events. I would say. I mean, I listen to people out there on the streets. I always think I have a good feel for what average everyday citizens are thinking out there, and a lot of folks are talking about this Cash for Criminals program, and it's officially called Advance Peace, and I think we just saw that Sacramento's spending some money on it, right? Correct? And
oh yeah, they passed it in Sacramento, but I just think that it's a waste of taxpayers' money because what they're going to be giving to social worker, and they become friends with their what do you call it, what the word, parolee. They gave him second chance because I have my nephew was in that situation in parolee. He had a DUI. He had an active in 2 DUI. The third one you're out, you're in jail pretty soon.
Yeah.
But they had common lottery, and they give it chance, but yeah, they don't listen. So right. I don't know how it's going to work to cash. It's more like paying them not to change their behavior modification.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed, but I don't think, honestly, that's what jail is for.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
I think it's how you pose the question or the discussion or the debate. If I was just to go out there and tell people, hey, should we give cash to criminals? I mean, obviously people are going to say, well, that's silly. If you're going to give them $1,300, we need a job. My aunt or my uncle or whoever, they can't find a job. So, why pay a criminal? That's what people are going to say. And in all fairness, I have to be clear that it's one of the jobs of the mayor is to come up with solutions. So it's easy for people to sit back and hide behind Facebook or Instagram and, and to blog and say, well, that's a dumb idea and blah, 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 blah. Okay. But it's their job to come up with solutions. And so I'm not going to be someone that sits back and becomes a hater and say, no, I think that's dumb. I'd rather have somebody try something than not. So,
I totally agree with the same. Just to restate what I said before, don't misunderstand. To me, it's a silly idea. Right. But if there's some solution, and they think that they'll solve, and in the end they made a mistake, right. That's called a learned lesson in life. So
now, my idea when I was mayor and before was that the truth is people claim that they believe in second chances, right? So people go to fancy meetings and they say, you know what, I believe that I'm going to give somebody with a felony or a misdemeanor a second chance. But I've learned most of the time that's just talk. Because if these same folks apply to, you know, a school district or to the city or to the county, their application is going to be accepted. But let's just be real here. They're going to be screened out. Most of the time, they're going to be screened out by a human resources technician, and that's going to say, hey, this person has a bunch of charges, and they're going to disqualify those people. So in reality, they really can't find jobs. Now, if you're a private business owner and you say that, hey, I own a tire store, I own a gas station, I'm going to give somebody a second chance, that's different. It's a possibility that it can work, but I just don't know if there's enough of those opportunities. So what I was thinking when I was mayor is I wanted to identify 100 of these most these offenders who are most likely to reoffend after prison. And the reason why is I want you to think about if you were making $1,000 a day selling drugs, you're selling weapons, or you're a gang leader, and you go to jail for, you know, however long. It's not the greatest experience when you're in there, obviously. And so I think you come out worse than when you went in. That's my personal belief. And then you get out, and guess what? You can't find a job. You can't buy orange juice. You can't buy milk. You can't buy eggs. All those folks, a lot of them have kids or kids on the way, and they get home, and their girlfriend or their wife is like, you're lazy. You've been out for 2 weeks yet already. You don't have a job. And they get so frustrated that what do they want to do? They want to reoffend. Okay, they don't want to, but they have to. That's like one of their only options. So they'll go out and they'll do another heist. They'll do another drug deal. They'll call up some of their contacts and they'll do something.
I think I agree with what you're saying. I think they get frustrated, and then they do the bad thing. Like it's like taking to an alcoholic when they're in the alcoholic store. I mean, when they sell wine at the store, and somebody say, right, I stopped drinking yet, and somebody said nagging, oh, I gotta go calm me down to go do the recurring thing. So I think there's a frustration in people that have a family record, and I think that it's a worst thing that to have for anything. So yeah, you're right. I mean, they're human.
What they need is a job.
They need
and
a
so
job.
I propose spending $2.4 million a year, and the city, through grants and through federal funding and state funding and through foundations, they definitely could find the money for it. But I was going to pay folks $12 an hour, but my program was different. I was going to give them a job. They have to check into a job. And so I was going to hire 100 of these folks a year, and guess what they were going to do? They were going to be the peacekeepers in Stockton. They were going to be the ones that clean up trash piles in every neighborhood of Stockton. Kelly Drive, Hammer Lane, Brookside, Spanos Park, Lincoln Village, doesn't matter where, but they were going to be the ones that clean up trash. They were going to be the ones that clean up graffiti. They were going to help with homeless related issues. They were going to go out there and work with the homeless folks to help get them cleaned up, get them where they need to be, but not scattered everywhere throughout the city. I was going to use these folks for that purpose. So, you know, I know this advanced piece is a little different, and there's a lot of components to it. But I think it's on to something. I'm willing to see what happens with it. But like I said, I think everyone out there would agree if they have anyone in their family or themselves that, you know, had some issues with the law and they're trying to get their life back together, you are up against the wall, and you're pushed back. Your back is against the wall, and you feel like there's not a lot of opportunities for you. So I do see where the problem arises. Now, that being said, we do realize as of today there's 40 homicides in Stockton, and I think last year this time there was 33. So
what is it? 33?
No, there's about 33 this time last year. So it's up a little, and we still have a couple months to go. Now we're nowhere close to the years where we were having 71 homicides back in 2012. But still, imagine going and talking to these folks that lost a loved one. It's just too many, and so we got to try something. So I hope that some of these programs that people are talking about really work. And as well as I hope that, you know, the district attorney's office and whoever else that's investigating things, you have to start solving unsolved homicides. And there's too many right now that are unsolved. And I hate to say it, but the truth is, in Stockton, the one crime that you can commit that people seem to get away with is homicide, murder. And for whatever reason, people aren't, calling Crime Stoppers with these tips. And as we know, in this area that we're here, close to the Miracle Mile, a local developer a few years back, Tim Egan, was killed. And I'm still, wondering why we haven't heard anything about his case, since there were so many alleged witnesses that night. There was video camera footage of his whereabouts in some of those areas that night, and it just goes too long. And so until you catch some of these folks and law enforcement makes it a priority to go after murderers instead of going after people selling ceviche on Facebook or political targets, go after some real criminals. And so, anyways, that's my speech on that. Let's talk about the new City Hall. What do you think? So we have the traditional City Hall that's been here forever, and then we have the 400 East Main building, where city staff basically has spent hours and hours doing presentations to City Council, showing why that we needed to lease back that building that we actually lost in bankruptcy after we purchased. And so the resources and the cubicles and the office supplies and a lot of work has gone into that building. And now all of a sudden they're like, wait. How about this new building on Weber Street that faces the water? So, I mean, what's everyone saying, Doug? What's your take on this?
I just when I look at it, I just think that they're just collecting money from our taxpayer, wasting money, because they look like they're not happy where they're at, and they're moving to another building that is not really. They just want scenery now. They want to put the water. They want to be close to the port. I mean, that's what I like. That's to me, it's kind of ego. To me, to see that they spend a lot of money on the first building, yeah, they want to move back and change their mind and move to the second building. To me, I mean, it's ridiculous to me.
I think to a normal person on the street, that's just working all the time, and they tune in, they hear this on the radio, or they see it on TV, or they read it in the local newspaper. They're just getting frustrated because they don't really think that a city hall is important. Now, if you're the city manager, or you're the city attorney, or the city clerk, then obviously City Hall is important to you. And if you're in the finance department, then automatically the City Hall is important to you. You need a home base. And so you have hundreds of city employees, but if they're all scattered around the city, the communication is not going to be that great. And so they do need to get into one building. They do need to come up with a plan. It's hard. It's easy for people to sit back and criticize the plans of others. But then again, maybe this time around, the residents do have a legitimate concern, because we're spending millions on this building on 400 East Main, and in bankruptcy, assured guarantee, they take it back. And so, but they're like, hey, as part of the deal, you can lease back the building that you formerly were going to own, and just pay us, a fair rate for the lease, which I think it was fair. But there had to be a plan for the city to eventually own that building, and when I was involved with the city, I was like, well, it would be great if the school district could come into this building too, and it would be an administration for the city and school district. But it didn't turn out to be like that, and so now the city is saying that it's going to cost too much to maintain all these floors and to put money into a building they don't own, which is a legitimate concern, right? It's just like us, if we're renting homes, do we really want to be spending money on the blinds and doing a lot of work to renovate something that we don't own? Probably not. We'd wait till we own a house. And so I understand the concerns of the city of Stockton, but you know what? They need to come up with a plan once and for all, stick to that plan, and stop changing it. And if they're going to acquire the building on Weber Street, you're right, it's a nice view. Maybe it'll make people more happy to come down and pay their water bills. I don't know. But if that's the case, then they need to get out of the other buildings, because residents are not going to tolerate, especially of us coming out of bankruptcy, us paying for multiple buildings all over the city. And basically that's what's happening now. So I hope a fair plan does come. And, you know, it's a legitimate concern for Stockton conservative folks that are out there. And most people, like I said, they don't really have time to sit there and dwell and worry and focus on the finances of the city. But I know residents are concerned. You know, we were in bankruptcy once. And I believe right here, right now, that, you know, in the near future, if Stockton doesn't, you know, continue to be frugal and to stay on a very stable financial path, Stockton could go into bankruptcy again. And I'm saying that right here, right now. Their spending habits are a little bit they're questionable. And
can I say something?
Yeah.
I think if the city of Stockton already been bankrupt once, it's gonna happen again. One is too many anyway, because the way that the way I see it, our taxes has increased. Our property tax already increased. Water tax has been increased. Our cable has been increased.
Yeah.
All those things that have accumulated taxes, we already spending on things. So the city government and the county level, the same things are not misappropriating funds that would think that will work on programs that might work eventually. Just grabbing the money and get for a temporary program. But when you have to look at a long-term program to spend money. Because when I look at that, when it comes to taxes, like you said, we need to make sure that is well researched. That's what the people want to see. It's been researched and just put into and proceed in mode.
Right. You know, city Stockton's budget is huge, something like $600 million if you consider the restricted funds, you know, the general fund, all the grants. I mean, I'm talking about in totality everything. It's a huge amount of money, and obviously we get a lot of our money from property taxes and fees, you know. But without Measure A, without that passing a couple years back, and basically you saw everybody associated with the city come and basically sell that tax to the residents. That was instrumental in the city of Stockton negotiating with the creditors to get us out of bankruptcy. Without that happening, there wasn't going to be enough money to get us out of bankruptcy, and there wasn't going to be enough money to stabilize the current city spending, the city bills. And the rest of the money is allegedly supposed to go to, you know, upgrading new parks, upgrading new libraries, upgrading the swimming pools. And my fear then, because I was, you know, I voted to, I decided as mayor it was my job to, because they already had 6 votes, you know, it was to forward it to the residents of Stockton and decide if they wanted it. And it barely passed, to be honest. It was like less than 1,000 votes separated it from passing and not passing. It was during a special election. I'm not saying it wasn't the right decision. I'm just saying if you have someone in your family and they abuse money and they're buying drugs with it, or they're buying things that they probably shouldn't, you are less likely to give them any more money. What you're going to do is you're going to be like, hey, well, I bought you some cat food and dog food for your animals, and hey, I got you a gift certificate at, you know, at this store, or I got you a gift card, and
at the coffee shop.
You don't give them any money anymore. You're afraid they're not going to use it. It's difficult with governments, because the only one thing they want from the residents, the people, they want more tax money. They want more revenue, and they're going to spend it again. And so you're like, oh man, I hate to give them more money, but if I don't, they said they're going to not put any more resources into the animal shelter. If we don't, they're not going to do anything for the homeless. If we don't, they're not going to upgrade any more libraries. If we don't, they're not going to fix the swimming pool. If we don't, they're not going to water the grass at the parks. And so that is, it really scares us, right, as normal folks. And we're like, well, what are we going to do? We're not going to miss the extra, the little, couple cents that, per purchase that we're giving up. And so we vote to support these tax measures, and then it becomes part of really part of the funding process for these city managers. It becomes part of the formula of where they're going to get money. So if this tax were to be taken away, the city would be in a world of hurt. So basically, is the residents of Stockton that bailed Stockton out of the bankruptcy the last time, and I don't know what would happen in the future. But I know that this tax money is instrumental in the livelihood and the success of our city right now.
Yes.
And what have you heard? What have you heard? I mean, we hear plans that they're going to fix this soccer field or that park, but people want to see.
Yeah, but I do agree that right now when you talk about, I think the city manager have the right to stop whatever they're doing and not have to be stubborn about if they're not getting the appropriate money fund or whatever. But I also heard there's going to be a proposition for money to fix Victory Park, the Rose Street and things like that, because they mismanaged, they didn't get the budget right, and they kind of have to add more money for us to repair those things. And it was supposed to be originally set to fix the park. Right. Now they're going to put in an election. They're going to have some water park upgrade for Victory Park to repair the swimming pool, repair the landscaping, whatever. And it's going to cost another $100,000 budget. I don't know what it's, $100,000 or $550. I don't know.
Probably a lot more. Yeah, probably a lot more.
A lot more to say, But anyway, that's what my. Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard about it yet.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I think we just want to know that there's plans in place, and then we want to see, color schematics and diagrams and graphs. We want to know where our money went. In the school district, when we passed 2 measures when I was on the school board, I knew that people weren't going to get to see the results of what they voted for quite a long time. And so I asked the director of facilities at Stockton Unified at the time, at Chavez, at Franklin, at Stagg, to put up color graphs and pictures of what the school is going to look like in the future. And as we know, like Edison High School is just finishing up those renovations now. Stagg just got one. And so, but it took years for people to see the results, basically the fruits of their labor of what they were getting years later. And so people now probably are a little bit frustrated. I know personally, I'm the swimming guy and the aquatics guy, and I just think the condition of our swimming pools are ridiculous. I think that every kid should learn how to swim in their city for free, and we should have decent swimming pools. Now, if you go to St. Mary's, the Cortopassi Center is nice because that was a donation. And if you go to Bear Creek, it looks like Lodi Unified has redone some of their pools. But if you're somebody in South Stockton or East Stockton, using swimming pools is not readily available to you. You have to be wealthy to have a swimming pool in your backyard, or at least middle class, and we know that's expensive even to maintain those pools. So a lot of kids don't learn how to swim because they don't have the swimming programs they used to, the WSI, the Learn to Swim programs. And so a lot of kids don't learn how to swim in the summer, and we know it gets hot here in Stockton. And so, I'm a proponent that we need to have nice swimming pools. Yes, we need to have nice soccer facilities. I'm very pleased that the Fair Oaks Library finally opened, even though some council members voted against it. The mayor himself voted against it a few times, but I'm glad he actually showed up and for the grand opening and sort of took credit for it. That's fine. I don't mind that. But it's time for our city. There is no excuse. And if you don't hear anything else I'm saying today, hear this. There is no excuse for a city of 300,000 residents to have subpar facilities. We don't have hardly any nice facilities. Yes, the arena is nice, but everyone can't afford to go to the arena and pay for circus tickets and pay to see Vicente Fernandez or whoever's at the arena. So we need public facilities that are quality facilities where people can go to parks where they feel safe and they look nice. I mean, I shouldn't have to go to Brookside or Spanos Park or Trinity Parkway to find a nice place to have lunch with my son. There should be nice facilities, whatever is like I used to say this about the schools, but whatever resources they have in Lincoln Unified at Lincoln High School, well, they should have those same resources at Franklin or Stagg or Edison. They shouldn't have nicer schools in one area of Stockton than the other. They shouldn't have nicer parks in one area of Stockton than the other. And kids see that. I've worked with just thousands of disadvantaged kids over the years, and they always ask that. They're, Mr. Silva, how come when we go to this area of Stockton, there's no trash, there's no graffiti, and I don't see any homeless people? But that's something that they see every second of the day, when they live on Stanislaus Street or they live on A Street or they live on Wilson Way or Charter Way. They don't understand why there's this big the disparity between places in North Stockton and then places in the south side or the east side. And so that's what we need to do as a community. And everyone always says that we want to get rid of this stigma that Stockton is ghetto. Well, it's time that the community steps up and gets involved in the city government and the school districts and the county government. But you know what? Right now, those folks don't really want average, everyday people to get involved. They want you to be busy. They want you to be so busy you barely have time to listen to a radio show. They want you to be so busy that you definitely don't have time to come to a city council meeting at 5:30 because you're busy taking kids from soccer practice and you're just getting off work. That's what they want. Mm-hmm. I know, because over the years, being on the school board and being the mayor of the city, I know how officials that don't live in Stockton, they live in other cities, but they drive here every day and they make their $200,000 a year salary from wherever they're from. I'm not ragging on one or two. I'm just saying in general. They like it when people are so busy they can't show up and give constructive criticism. They like it when you're so busy you can't complain and bring out your concerns. And so what they do is these type of officials, city managers and county administrators and school superintendents, they tell their school board or their elected officials, their board of supervisors, other city council members, they're like, listen, by the way, the people that show up to these meetings at 5:30 or 10 a.m., whatever the meeting time is for the elected officials, they tell them that the people that show up do not represent your city. They are a minority of crazies or people they consider watchdogs, and they don't really know what they're talking about. And so whatever they say, don't put too much stock into it because, like I said, they're a bunch of crazies and don't know what they're talking about. And
hold on, let me go before you let me stop.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I have noted that on screen. They cut it back to instead of 5 minutes to 3 minutes.
Right.
They eliminate. They put the study to be the common used to be 3 in the morning beginning. Now they went back to the very late.
Yeah.
Where bus stopper cannot commute, cannot get busted, not can get rides. So everything started late, and public comments started really late. So yeah, it's been a lot dramatic changes already through the city hall. So I have a hard time getting an interpreter there too, because they keep telling us, Doug, how long are you going to stay? 1 hour, 2 hours. Why are they asking me? They're getting paid regardless.
Yeah.
But they keep asking us, are you going to be here to the full meeting? So they're pretty much.
It's definitely frustrating if you're from the public and you wait a couple weeks to go to a meeting and you sit there, and now the public comments are not in the beginning. So you actually have to wait 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get up there and talk for like 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And then if you go beyond the 3 minutes, somebody yells at you or somebody says, okay, you're done. And it's like they just don't really care about what you just said. And the truth is, unfortunately, a lot of them just don't care what you have to say because they feel that they've been elected, and by some ordained right, they now are the shepherd and you're the lamb, and basically, it's their turn to rule, and so they're going to do what they need to do. Now, they won't tell you that in public. They're going to say, no, I listen to everybody. But when they're not even making eye contact and they're rolling their eyes and they're on their phones while you're talking, you know that they're not taking you seriously. So anyways, that's enough of that. Let's see. Someone has a question here.
Yes.
Someone wants to know, what about City Hall moving by the waterfront? Yeah, and I think we addressed a little bit of that. They're just considering. I think I saw somewhere like 13 million and change to acquire a building next to the waterfront, and basically that's what the city is considering, to get everyone in one building. Now, I still don't know what that means. They're going to systematically get out of the 400 East Main building. Remember, that's the Chase building. That's downtown. But, there's going to be some economic disadvantages, too, of the city moving out of the downtown core. And I think Cindy Fargo from the Downtown Alliance addressed that. But if you move the City Hall from downtown, or from where it is at 400 East Main, there's not a lot of people that are going to be buying lunches at Subway and spending money on little coffee shops down there. So it's going to have economic impacts, and so that's something to consider too. But the bottom line is people want a city hall where it's very user friendly for them to come in and pay their water bills, or come in and get there, if they're a business owner, open up a business, get a business permit. Pay your inspection fees. They want somewhere very easy. By the way, City Hall should be welcoming. And when I got there, it wasn't very welcoming.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on that tangent for a while, but when I got there, the first day of City Hall for me, the phones didn't work. There was no working computers. Nobody said, "Hey, welcome, Mayor. Welcome to City Hall." It was not like that at all. I think some people in Stockton are smart enough to realize that by now, but it wasn't like that. But it should be a welcoming place where they should have someone that says, "Hey, welcome, Mr. Vigil. Are you paying your water bill today? Do you want to open a business? Do you want to buy a dog license? Whatever it is." But wherever they go for City Hall, they have to remember that the city is here to serve the people. That's the whole reason why we pay taxes. They're here to serve the people. So if they forget why they're here, then there's a problem. And so I don't want to go on to that anymore, but I do hope that things get better. I tried to do little things. I built a Christmas village during Christmas time, and I think people walked in the City Hall and they're like, "What the heck is this?" And there was lights everywhere, and we had presents that we were wrapping for a lot of the homeless kids. And
it was a beautiful scenery. I remember that during the hallway. But it was amazing how City Hall was decorated at 2 years in the time that you were mayor. That was given. It was really beautiful.
You have to try to, it takes a long time to change a climate, and so you need more than a couple years to do that. But I do hope. I wish the city the best of luck in the future, but definitely the finances are very important. What else you want to talk about, Mr.
Vigil? So you already talked about the current events already. So what's going to be your agenda after we're closed, as we're going to be closing out? So what's going to be your next agenda? And
well, I'm going to go back home and do laundry. I've basically I've become like a house dad. I've learned more. I've learned that. Wow, it is a full-time job just taking care of a house. And so now I see why, when a couple has a couple kids in the house, that sometimes one parent will stay at home because it's just cheaper than paying expensive daycare, and it's a lot of work to maintain a house. I feel like I accomplished a lot in life when I can get a load of laundry done and do the dishes in one day. That always makes me feel better. Yeah. But obviously, as you're preparing for a baby, you want to make sure that all the stuff is put together. And I think tonight I'm going to go home, and my girlfriend and I are going to work on the closet that has the baby diapers and that has all the baby wipes. And by the way, I think baby wipes are, possibly the best invention in the world ever.
The best invention, yeah.
Yeah, I like baby
sure
wipes.
Make sure it's flushable. No, don't get nothing that's not flushable.
I use them to clean the kitchen and clean the bathroom. I use them for everything, baby wipes, because they just feel like they're, they're clean, but they're not toxic or something.
Right.
So I use that. So my girlfriend's all, "Stop using the baby wipes. Wait for the baby to come." But I use them for everything. I'll clean a car with them. The shot vac also, by the way, is my second favorite invention. You can suck away all your problems if you want in one day. So I use the shot vac for everything. I didn't know that it sucks up water too, but it does. So
yeah, it does.
So I do a lot of house stuff. Obviously, I still have goals as well. And, some people out there are confused in life. They're like, what is, it seems like, I went my whole life without getting arrested, and then all of a sudden I'm mayor and I get arrested, and then 7 months later I get arrested again. So imagine how I feel. So you have to ask yourself, is this guy, is he a bad guy? Has he been a bad guy all his life? And all of a sudden, he becomes mayor of a city, and he has enemies overnight, and people are attacking him, and all these, the atheists, I think they sued me a couple times, and some other folks did as well. And, they didn't like that I gave the key to the city to God, and was trying to, help bring some awareness to reduce some homicides in Stockton. And, people didn't like some of the stuff that I stood for, did prayers at every city council meeting.
But you know what? I have, when you were doing that, when you were in mayor, I did some research also in the federal government. They have literally scripture in every monument they go when you go to Washington, D.C. And people don't complain when they go to the local resident in Washington, D.C. They don't say, "Oh, I'm atheist. Why can't you remove all the statues?"
Someone came into City Hall once and they said, "Hey, there shouldn't be any religion and any reference to God in anything that you do because you're the mayor of a city." And I said, "Okay, so you must not use money." And he looked at me and I said, "Well, look on the back of your dollar. It says, 'In God we trust.'"
That's right.
He said, "Well, I didn't make this dollar." And I go, "I bet you use it though."
Yeah.
So I'm not someone that infringes my beliefs on anybody. And as we know, politics and religion, it's very difficult because people lose friends over politics and religion. I mean, there's people will say, "Hey, I support the president of the United States," and all of a sudden people defriend them on Facebook, and they'll talk trash. I can't believe that person supports President Trump. And I see it with my own eyes, and I go, is this the kind of country we've become? You can't even support your president, regardless of what you feel about him, but you lose friends over it. Just because I like to watch Game of Thrones, I shouldn't lose friends because I like Game of Thrones. And, it's crazy how people, they're so mean nowadays. And religion is the same way. You can't win with one of those arguments, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of different religions. I tried as mayor to respect them all, and I loved going to the mosques and the temples, and I loved going to African-American churches, and they're so musical, and even if I was sort of sad or something sad happening in life, it sort of cheered me up. I love learning about other cultures and religions, but I know a lot of people, it really, I don't know, it kind of really... touches them the wrong way. And so you can't win with those two subjects. And I understand that, politics is just something that's, no matter what, it's a part of our lives. And you can have politics on the local PTA. You have politics, when you're becoming the soccer mom on a soccer team. It doesn't matter. There's going to be politics. And I have friends, and they're like, "I can't stand politics, and I don't like what it's done for you." And I'm like, "But you have politics. You're a teacher. You work in a school district. Who becomes the principal, or who becomes a superintendent, or what curriculum that you're teaching? That's political." They're like, "I don't care. We don't see it." So it is tough. And because, listen, if you get elected to anything, guess what? The next day, 50% of the people like you, and 50% of the people don't. It's as simple as that. I don't care if it's senator, or you're governor, or you're the president. I mean, imagine in the United States of America, you were Barack Obama, and half the country in certain states hated you, and now you're President Trump, and then people in half of America, they hate you, or they have this disdain or this non-respect for the president of our country, which represents what we stand for. And it's just sad that we still have hatred today, and that's something we don't have time to talk about on your show today, Doug. But hatred and racism exists. It still exists.
It's overused. Even in the word, they say you're a bigot, or you're racist, or you're a hater. I mean, it's losing its meaning now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it so much. It's ridiculous. People don't take it seriously when you use those three words. I don't take those seriously either. Now I'm looking at them like, it's been over saturated, all content. And
it's the easiest thing in the world to say, and it's one of the hardest things to try to disprove. But everyone, when they're mad at somebody, they call you a racist nowadays, and it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And then our society just doesn't want to talk about it.
And we be victimized by those words because they see people like you say. I'm a person that when it hit me or anybody else at the first time, and a victim, you're a victim. But when you play over, taking advantage of another person that had that particular incident, and yet they overplay with somebody else that for granted to get attention. But
in your situation, Doug, they did attack your disability. They weren't attacking Doug Vigil, the person. They were attacking your disability. They said they didn't want you on the school board because you have a disability. That's what they said. So they were attacking you, and so that was discrimination. I think no one is going to disagree that when they.
So you're talking about the school board itself,
yeah,
or you're talking about the people itself?
No, when you ran, whoever attacked you, those people that attacked you were attacking your disability. So that was. It's not a guess that it was discrimination. It was discrimination. But yes, people use those. They throw those terms out, and then there's something else I was thinking of. And a lot of parents, you understand this. My son, he's going to high school next year. And so he already has the paper that talks about the sports teams he can join and the clubs. And so we're taking a look at it, and he has this grin on his face. My son, I'm Cherokee Indian.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm Cherokee Indian.
Okay.
Everyone thinks I'm Hispanic, and that's fine. I do business with a lot of Hispanics, and they're all my friends, and I love them too. But my son brings me this paper home, and it says all the clubs that he can join. And so we're reading the clubs like Japanese club, Asian club, Black Student Union, and it's naming all these clubs. And he goes, "Oh, Dad, hey, what club am I supposed to join?" So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow. And then he looks at me, and he's like, I probably can't say that word. I'm not allowed to say that word, but where do Caucasian kids go? And he whispered it like it was like a bad thing to ask it. He's all, do we join one of these clubs too? And I go, well, I joined the Japanese club when I was at Lincoln High School, but you can join one of these clubs if you're interested in about them. And he goes, but I know, but what are other kids supposed to join if they don't fit into one of these categories? And you know what? He had a good point. And he whispered about it because he's afraid that somebody can hear him, and he has a good point, and nobody wants to talk about it, right? But let's be honest. What happens if we did? And we all know. I think we can all agree that that I am not a racist, and I was welcome to every community church in this city, so I can host this conversation. But if somebody were to try to form a Caucasian club or a white club, if they were to say those words, the next day in the newspaper or on TV on the news station. What are people going to be saying? They're going to be like, wow, it's that person or that student at that one school at, is racist.
I was like, like that.
It's crazy.
It does make fun. It's kind of hypocritical. We have an Asian community, we have Black community, and we have Indian community, but white community, it probably don't exist.
You know what I had him do for fun? When we went to dinner, I had him ask one of my friends who's African American, and we asked him, hey, what would you think? And he just started busting up laughing. He goes, "Yeah, you're right. You can't start that club. It wouldn't it wouldn't be good at all." So it's racism and hatred is a part of our society today, and I think it's how we go about talking about it with our kids, or it's never gonna change. And so it's a discussion that we do need to have, and I think the first step is just realizing it's still a problem. And so imagine when we send our kids to school, we know it exists. We know that there's internet bullying that goes on all the time. If a kid is overweight, or if a kid only has one parent at home instead of two, he gets attacked or she gets attacked at school, and it's so bad they're put on blast on the internet, and nobody wants to go to school anymore.
Okay, great. I just got a signal from my audio engineer, Joey. Time to end the show. Well, thank you, former Mayor Anthony Silva, for coming down, getting to the community and doing your live. It was a good thing. I really appreciate coming in. I'm an honor to have you here for the special edition of Doug Vigil show, and just hearing you your comment, your opinion, your idea, what's going on this recent current event, and which is awesome. So thank you, and I thank everyone for watching us. Thank you for giving us a comment, and hopefully we get him back again for future. Okay, thank you.
Pleasure to be here, everyone. Thank you.
KXVS, Voice of Stockton.
KXVS on 92.1. Coming soon.